Most people read The Millionaire Factory and walk away with a list of tips. Save more, invest wisely, follow your passion, and then nothing changes. Here's the problem. They're missing the actual system. Andrii Sedniev didn't write a list of advice. He built a machine. And like any machine, it only works when you understand how the parts connect and what order they need to be assembled. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you something different. We're going to take apart this system piece by piece so you can see exactly how it's supposed to work. Not the motivational version, the mechanical one. Here's what we're covering. First, we'll map out the two-engine system that powers the whole thing. Most people only fire up one engine and wonder why they're not moving. Second, we'll identify the 3 connection points where people get stuck. These are the gaps between reading and doing, and they're predictable. Third, we'll walk through the exact sequence Sedniev designed, because doing step 3 before step 1 doesn't just slow you down, it breaks the system. And finally, I'll show you what makes this different from every other wealth book you've read, the part most summaries completely miss. If you've read wealth books before and nothing changed, this video will show you why. The problem wasn't your motivation. It was that you were trying to use a blueprint like it was a shopping list. Let's reverse engineer this thing. Here's the first thing you need to understand. The Millionaire Factory isn't built on one idea. It's built on 2 separate engines that have to run at the same time. Engine 1 is what Sedniev calls maximizing your primary income source. Most people translate this as get better at your job. That's not what he means. He's talking about a complete rebuild of how you deliver value. It starts with this question. What would make you 10 times more valuable in your field, not 10%? Sedniev studied billionaires, Wall Street investors, and serial entrepreneurs for 10 years. The pattern he found wasn't about working harder. It was about becoming irreplaceable in a specific way. Here's the difference. If you're a software developer, working harder means writing more code. Becoming 10 times more valuable means solving a problem that saves your company millions or building something only 5 people in the world know how to build. He calls this the value multiplier. And it's not about credentials, it's about developing a skill or insight that's genuinely rare. But here's where people get stuck. They think this means quitting their job and starting a business. Sometimes it does. But Sedniev's research showed that plenty of millionaires did this inside companies. They became the person the company couldn't function without. That's engine 1. Transform yourself into someone who delivers massive, uncommon value. Now engine 2, intelligent capital deployment. This is where the book gets technical, and most summaries gloss over it. Sedniev isn't telling you to invest in index funds and wait 40 years. He's showing you how to take the money engine 1 generates and multiply it through strategic, asymmetric bets. The system requires both engines running. If you only maximize income, you'll make good money, but never escape the time for money trap. If you only focus on investing without a strong income engine, you're playing with numbers too small to matter. Most wealth books tell you to do one or the other. Sedniev's system demands both, in parallel. Now let's talk about where this system actually breaks down for most people. There are 3 predictable breaking points. Breaking point 1, the identity problem. You can't become 10 times more valuable while still thinking of yourself as just an employee or just a freelancer. Sedniev found that mindset shift isn't about affirmations. It's about treating yourself like a business, even if you work for someone else. Here's what that looks like in practice. When someone asks you to take on a project, you don't just say yes or no. You evaluate it like an investor. Will this increase my value? Will this lead to rare skills or connections? Most people skip this step. They read about becoming more valuable, nod, and then keep saying yes to everything their boss asks. That's not how the system works. You have to actively filter your time and energy toward things that compound your value. Everything else is a distraction, even if it pays well today. Breaking point 2, the capital threshold. There's a point in the system where you need enough excess capital to actually deploy. And for most people, this is where they stall. Sedniev addresses this directly. You can't wait until you're comfortable to start investing strategically. You have to build the discipline while you're still uncomfortable. He breaks this down into specific percentages, but the core principle is this: your lifestyle should lag behind your income. If you make more, don't immediately spend more. That gap is where the system gets its fuel. People hate this part. They want the system to work without sacrifice. It doesn't. You're either creating margin now, or you'll never have capital to deploy later. Breaking point 3, the risk calculation error. Here's where people really mess up. They read about strategic investments, get excited, and then blow their capital on something with terrible risk-reward. Sedniev spends considerable time on this. Not all risks are equal. Taking a big risk on something you don't understand is just gambling. Taking a calculated risk in an area where you have edge or expertise is strategic investing. The system only works if you're putting capital into opportunities where you have some advantage. Maybe it's knowledge, maybe it's access, maybe it's timing. But you can't just throw money at crypto or real estate because someone on the internet made it sound easy. This is the breaking point that destroys people financially. They skip the work of developing edge, and they confuse boldness with strategy. Now, let's talk about sequence. Because even if you understand the two engines and avoid the breaking points, doing things in the wrong order will stall you. Here's the sequence Sedniev designed. Step 1. Brutal self-assessment. Not the fun kind where you list your strengths. The kind where you identify exactly what makes you ordinary. What are you doing that 10,000 other people could do just as well? Write it down. That's your starting point. Step 2. Identify your value gap. What would you need to learn, build, or become to be 10 times more valuable? Not in theory. In your actual field right now. Sedniev uses examples from his own life. He became the youngest person in Europe to get a specific expert certification. That wasn't luck. He deliberately chose a skill with high value and low competition. You need to find your version of that. What's the rare, hard thing you're willing to get good at? Step 3. Time reallocation. This is where most people quit. You can't just add becoming 10 times more valuable to your already full schedule. You have to cut things. Sedniev talks about this as tuning your internal money magnet. What he really means, you have to become obsessive about saying no to low-value activities, even if they're comfortable or expected. Step 4. Generate excess capital. Once your value starts increasing, you'll start making more money. Don't spend it. Sedniev's system requires that you reach a specific threshold where you have meaningful capital to deploy. For most people, that's at least 6 months of expenses saved, plus another chunk available for strategic opportunities. Step 5. Develop your investment edge. While you're building capital, you're also supposed to be studying potential investment areas. Not casually, seriously. Sedniev's research showed wealthy people don't invest in things they don't understand. They develop deep knowledge in 2 or 3 areas, and they invest there exclusively. This might be real estate in your local market, or a specific sector you work in, or a business model you've seen succeed. But you can't skip this step. Random investing breaks the system. Step 6. Deploy strategically. When you have capital and edge, you move. Not recklessly, not timidly, decisively. Sedniev emphasizes asymmetric returns, investments where the upside vastly outweighs the downside. These opportunities are rare, which is why you need edge to recognize them when they appear. This sequence isn't optional. People try to jump straight to step 6, investing money they don't have in areas they don't understand, and then they blame the system. Now here's what makes The Millionaire Factory different from every other wealth book. Most books give you a mindset. Think abundantly, visualize success, take massive action. That stuff can be helpful, but it's not a system. Other books give you a tactic. Buy rental properties, start a dropshipping business, invest in index funds. Those can work, but they're not complete systems either. Sedniev's system is different because it's modular and sequential. Every part depends on the previous part working. You can't have engine 2 without engine 1. You can't deploy capital strategically without first building the edge to know what's strategic. You can't increase your value without first honestly assessing where you're ordinary. It's not motivational, it's mechanical. And that's actually the insight most people miss. They read the book looking for inspiration, and they skip over the parts that feel like work. The self-assessment, the brutal time reallocation, the years of developing edge. Sedniev's system works, but only if you treat it like a system. If you try to cherry-pick the fun parts and skip the hard parts, you just end up with a broken machine. The book is short, only 136 pages, but it's dense with process. Most people read it in a few hours and think they've absorbed it. They haven't. They've read about a system. They haven't built one. So let me summarize what we just reverse engineered. The Millionaire Factory is a two-engine system. Engine 1. Maximize your primary income by becoming 10 times more valuable. Engine 2. Deploy that excess capital strategically in areas where you have edge. There are 3 breaking points where most people fail: the identity problem, the capital threshold, and the risk calculation error. And there's a specific sequence you have to follow. You can't skip steps, you can't rearrange them. Self-assessment, value gap identification, time reallocation, capital generation, edge development, strategic deployment. That's the system. If you've read the book and nothing changed, go back and ask yourself, did I actually build the system? Or did I just read about it? Because here's the truth. Sedniev doesn't say directly, but his entire book implies most people will read this and do nothing. They'll agree with the ideas, feel motivated for a week, and then drift back to normal. The system works, but only if you build it. Start with step 1, the brutal self-assessment. Write down what makes you ordinary, then ask yourself what you're willing to do about it. That's where the machine starts.